everybody, welcome to the Threecast episode number, I have not a clue. It's June 8th. Holy hell.
Yeah,
It's June 8th already, Vince. It's going to be Christmas like next month.
I know.
I mean,
Three announcements, then you know what's going to happen. It's going to blow up.
we're halfway through this year already. I mean, where the hell did this year go? I haven't even done anything this year.
Huh.
I feel like I've been sitting here all year. Anyways, this is the Threecast where each week we review something. Usually it's a movie. Sometimes we do comics. Every once in a while, Ricky will talk us into a TV show. Those are usually the weeks that I try to miss. And, oh, by the way, I'm joined by Vincent Hui. He's
Hey,
my
what's up,
co-host
man?
tonight. I have not a clue where Ricky is. I hope he's not kidnapped.
I think he'll be okay. He's a big boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe his kid is taking a nap. Oh.
Man, it merits some rest, man. When that kid goes to sleep, you got to go to sleep, man.
Yeah, all right, whatever. Built-in birth control, just the two of you. This reminds me never to have kids.
That's right.
All right. So tonight's movie is Zootopia. It's a Disney movie. Was it Pixar?
It's Disney, straight up Disney.
Just Disney. They shouldn't ditch Pixar.
I don't know about that.
Pixar does a better job. Anyways, so this was Vince's movie, so he's going to tell us what the movie was about.
All right, so this is a movie that just recently came out, and it happens to be it came out at the end of the past year. It happens to also be, sorry, not the end of this, it's in the last few months, and it's probably, if you haven't seen already, it's probably still residually sitting in your theaters, ladies and gentlemen, and it is making money hand over fist. It's basically, as I was telling Matt before the show started, it's making as much money. It's second to Frozen in terms of Disney animated movie. Now, I also mentioned that prior to recording that this movie is, yes, you're right, it's not done by Pixar. And you can tell a couple of nuances. Like, it's more Disney-ish, kid-centric, so it doesn't always have all the double meanings that you typically find in other Pixar movies. But the animation quality is still up there, and the overall production value is pretty top-notch at Disney. Actually, no, I take that back because I watched the Good Dinosaur, and that was a terrible movie. But it's so far it's been critically acclaimed as a good movie. I'm not sure what the Rotten Tomatoes rating is, but I gather it's pretty high. And the plot centers around this whole. It's basically. And this is where Matt always accuses me of reading too much into it, but I think it's fairly clear. It's about racism in America, right? Where there's this. No, it's true, right? If it's not, okay. So we're doing two things that typically happens here. A, I'm reading a lot into the movie, and B, we're talking about racism. So in this case, it's talking about there's predatory mammals, and then there's herbivore animals, effectively, right? And the story starts off with them being, described as predators eat the prey, and eventually, as the civilization develops, they create this utopian society where animals all live together and they're equal, right? So the premise is that if everyone's equal, then a bunny, in this case, the central character, Jodie Hopps, she aspires to be a cop, and though she faces some inherent racism, or speciesism, for lack of a better term, with foxes, she eventually becomes a cop, and she's put on the beat in Zootopia, the city where everyone is coming together to work in harmony. And she meets up a couple of scam artists, most notably Fox, and there's a whole entire conspiracy of missing predatory animals that she ultimately gets assigned to. And it becomes a clear-cut case of deception where a lot of these predatory animals have been under the influence of a type of drug, basically a drug that's basically blow dart or shot at them. And it's this nice little nod to Breaking Bad with the whole sheep thing. It's a whole conspiracy theory that comes apart. And without giving all of it away, it's a fun story, and I can definitely see a sequel coming out of it. There's lots of inside jokes, and you know what? As a parent, I've watched several times now, and you know what? You really don't see the twist ending you know, the like, I mean, Matt, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like when it turns out that the sheep are all the bad people, right? Because you know, well, not all sheep. Sorry, that's racist. But the sheep,
I don't think that the sheep are going to call the end, you know, the whatever the hell you guys call
and no, no, but
whatever. The sheep version of whatever, you know.
yeah. So the basically the deputy mayor, in the interest of trying to secure power, she's kind of antagonizing the lion mayor, and effectively is trying to frame up all predatory animals so that, as she says, the you know, prey animals are 10-1 outnumbering predator animals, so they should be in charge. So it's got a whole bunch of like speciesist, racist overtones to it, which is kind of interesting. But again, from an adult standpoint, you go, you know what, it's instilling some good cultural values to your kids, so that, like, you know, you don't judge a book by its cover, that, you know, everyone gets along, and that like a bunny can become a cop when typically it's predator animals that become cops. But there's also a lot of nice things about the movie that make it like a, you know, grown-up friendly. Like like there's like little plot twists you have to follow through. And then I watched it again and I saw like, oh, they're dropping clues. Like if you go in the scene where they are in the deputy mayor's office, she actually has a Post-it note with Doug's phone number, and Doug turns out to be effectively the Breaking Bad kind of parody of the drug dealer, which you know, is the sheep that is responsible for doing the tranquilizing, effectively. So there's a lot of little hints that are plugged in, and as Matt pointed out, there's also lots of jokes. Like, you know, when the chief of the police force says to the rabbit, like, you know, don't basically it's not a fairy tale, honey. You're not gonna, you know, if you think you just do a couple of dance numbers and, you know, make everything happy, well, just forget it. It's not gonna happen. Let it go, right? And like, there's lots of like, you know, little jokes here and there that parents watching it kind of appreciate. So overall, I mean, as a kids movie, from a grown-up standpoint, it's not bad. I'd say it's like a 7 out of 10.
Wow, really? Okay. So, I first of all, Rotten Tomatoes, obscenely fresh, 98% fresh.
Wow. Good.
I don't know who paid those critics to review that movie, because no way it's 98% fresh. All right, so this isn't by far, it's not a terrible movie. It's not bad. Okay. It's just boring for me. Maybe it's just because I'm looking at it not as a kids movie, which if I were a kid, this would entertain me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you ever seen. There's a movie about a mouse. It's called Fievel. Like American.
Yeah, West, American Tail.
Yeah. I love that movie as a kid. I mean, I like watched it over and over and over and over again. It was like the movie, like, you know, there's always that one movie where as a kid, you always have to, you know, please, Daddy, can I watch it again? It's like over and over and over again. It's just that one movie. That was the one.
Really good soundtrack too.
Yeah. I watched it maybe like a year and a half ago. It was like on TV or something like that. God, that movie's so boring now to me. I just, maybe it's just, and that was this movie. There are things throughout it that, you know, were chuckle worthy, but, you know, maybe I went into it thinking that it was going to be really funny, or maybe I went into it thinking it was going to be a musical because they billed it as from the directors of Frozen or something. Yeah. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't particularly funny. I mean, it had some, like I said, had some, you know, jokes or whatever. I am a real cop. I am a real cop. I am a real cop. That was funny. Looking back on it, the big twist, as you put it, towards the end, wasn't as big a twist as I expected it to be, because especially towards the beginning of the movie, right after the deputy mayor or whatever is introduced, I don't know, she always just seemed a little suspicious to me, how she was, I mean, she was very attached to Judy Hopps or whatever. Officer
yeah,
Hopps.
but like but the thing is that they kind of allay that by saying, like, when she goes and says, you know, us small guys got to stick together, right? And it's you know, it's something that you typically hear, right? Like in those kind of contexts.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I didn't pick it up on the way through, but now looking back on it, that seems suspicious to me. But maybe that's just because it turns out she was the bad guy. I also thought that there was the chance that the fox, what was the Nick, yeah. I thought there was a chance that he could have been the, you know, the bad guy, you know, the big bad, but he wasn't. You know, I don't know. Like I said, it was just, it was kind of boring for me. That's not that it was a bad movie. Maybe it's just because the last 2 weeks have been insanely busy. So I watched this movie in pieces, like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and then went and did something else. But I don't know. It wasn't a particularly good soundtrack.
No, when you have Shakira doing the music, it's always going to be a bad soundtrack. But my kid loves dancing to it. My 3-year-old, she likes dancing to it. I don't know. It's got its heartwarming moments.
Yeah, that's another reason why I don't have kids. I just I'd sit your freaking ass down and watch the movie.
No, there's the whole musical numbers at the end, right? So
yeah, I would be a terrible father. Because I'd want to watch things that I would enjoy, and this wouldn't be one of them. It's like we'd watch this one time. Like we're not watching Zootopia again, kid. We're gonna watch, I don't know, Jason Statham kick somebody's ass.
Yeah, you basically need explosions to make a movie.
Come on, we're gonna do Michael Bay. Come on.
No.
Yeah. Hey, you wanna know what? If more stuff blew up in this movie, I would have paid more attention.
But it's a Disney movie. They can't.
Oh, come on, Disney. No wonder you're going out of business.
Dude, I don't think so, man. Like, I don't know.
I know they're not going out of business.
Civil War.
Well, let's just hope this doesn't bode ill for Star Wars. I'm just saying, because Disney does now own Star Wars. If they get rid of the explosions, we're all doomed.
That's the argument, though. I know there's a tangent, but I'm not sure if you heard about the new movie that's coming out from Star Wars. It's Star Wars Rogue One. And it's basically a movie that's supposed to be like the Hamburger Hill or like the Platoon version of a Star Wars story arc. And they are like, so the directors basically said, yeah, I'm gonna have like explosions. It's gonna be like darker and grittier. And Disney has actually said, hey, can you do 4 more weeks of reshoots? Because the argument is that they are worried that they have to make it a little bit less explosive, less, fatalities, like that kind of thing.
They really should, like, what they should do. So you know my opinion on Star Wars. Who cares if we're going off on a tangent?
That's okay.
I think that what they should do is just like create a new company or whatever that's just Star Wars. It's still owned by Disney, 100% or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then they can do whatever they want with the movies, and it won't reflect badly on Disney. They don't have to worry about it not being enough associated too far from Mickey Mouse. Yeah. I mean, that's what I think they should do. But I also don't care because I hope all Star Wars films flop because I hate Star Wars.
Something happened to you as a child, man.
Are you gonna put the one that came out last year on the list so we have to watch it?
No, we already did. Ricky and I talked.
Oh, that's right. You and that. Thank God that I don't have to watch that movie because I would probably hang myself. Because I hate Star Wars. Come on, Darth Vader being the good guy. It's just
a good guy.
All right. So, anyways, back to Zootopia. Yeah, I don't have really much. I'm just bored with it. Okay.
I think you should actually give. I know that you were bored, but I mean,
maybe I'll watch it again.
If you're more awake and watching it, it's like the jokes are there, but it's like the plot's interesting. I mean, like as a grown-up, I was like, oh, I'm glad that they actually didn't just conclude it there, right? I'm glad that they actually had like a little bit more of an engaging ending. I'm glad that there was a good lesson to be learned, though it was heavy-handed. I think that it's relevant in today's day and age. I mean, like this is coming off of the Trayvon Martin shootings and all the kind of like racial stuff that's going on. I think it's a good thing when you can actually have a Disney movie that, overtly or not, is trying to broker a way to make sure kids don't grow up and we continue the stupid racist crap that we've been doing for like centuries, right? Well,
yeah. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm the white guy and I don't know. Am I being apathetic because I'm white, or am I being apathetic because I was just bored?
I think it's boredom. Like honestly, like I can see, like I've also commented earlier on past reviews where I've been coming back home from work and having to watch a couple of the movies that God I really did not want to watch, and like I don't know that Matt Damon movie you maybe watch with when he dies and goes to heaven, or we're not sure if he dies or whatever, right? The insurance bureau or whatever, the bureau, right?
Oh, the Adjustment Bureau.
Yeah, when you made us watch that, I was like watching that in spits and spurts because I was like,
oh yeah, you did say that was boring, didn't you?
But and I freely say, like, I gave it a crappy review just because it was just like, you're catching me at the witching hour. But I mean, if you gave it a chance, I suspect Zootopia would actually stand in better light.
We'll give it a try. So I would, out of let's say out of 5, I'd give it a 2.5. I'd give it right in the middle. Why not?
Yeah,
because it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it to the point where I watched it all the way through. It wasn't so bad that I stopped. Okay. So we'll just put it there. All right. So we're a little early. So why don't we jump into the picks of the week? You got a pick of the week for us, Vince?
Okay. So I actually picked up Overwatch. Okay.
Did you?
Yep, and I'm not a big shooter fan, and I'm still not a big shooter fan. It's you know what? I really am getting a little bit miffed that first-person shooters, for guys like me, like as much as I know that people love to play online and have squads and tournaments and stuff, I think you have to have story modes. Like, you have to have story modes, not just simply to make more work for the directors and producers, but you need story modes so that people can actually practice properly instead of just on stupid bots. Like, even in Overwatch, even the training and practice modes, it's still online. Like, you basically, aside from the one where it's teaching you how to do the basic mechanics, when you go to training mode, you are in sessions with other people online. And I think that it's a real shame. It's doubly a shame for Overwatch because, as you know, Overwatch is a shooter which has individual characters with different traits. So you can have a sniper character, but there's different types of snipers, or a tank character. There's healing characters. So everybody's got their own kind of all the characters are different. There's I don't know, I can't remember 16 characters, and they all have ostensibly some sort of unique storyline. I think it would have been worthwhile to investigate, so you actually become more invested in the characters that you actually find useful. And I mean, it's a bit cartoony because you have a guy a cowboy, and you also have another guy that's a ninja, and you have another person that's a futuristic super soldier. So they're all over the place. But I think that you definitely need to have that story mode. It's an okay game, but any game that mandates automatic to play it, a connection to the internet all the time, and a high-speed one. I know that we're going towards that, but I think that you really got to give people the ability to do this stuff offline, right? But
but you got to remember, it's Blizzard, so everything they do is online. That's what they do. So
is everything they do? I mean, other than their Warcraft stuff and
well, yeah. I mean, okay. So, StarCraft is online.
Yep. Warcraft is online.
World of Warcraft is online. Hearthstone is online.
You can't play locally on Hearthstone?
What?
You can't locally play against AI?
You can, but it's terrible.
Oh,
I mean, it's got. I mean, literally, it's like the training or whatever. I mean, it's always available, but it's the same game over and over again because, as far as I remember, you can't build your own decks or whatever. You just have to use their standard basic decks, and it's fine. So there's no. So it'd be nice if you could go through and create a deck or whatever, and then go test it against the AI and see if it. So you don't go out there and embarrass yourself against
Yeah, but just to come back to the Blizzard thing, though, I mean, Blizzard, StarCraft, right? It is able to offer multiplayer online, but it also has a core single-player campaign mode, right? And I appreciate that because it has a story. It lets you get invested in the characters. You get to see some sort of projected narrative of what's going on. And then, I'm cool with that they make money. They have StarCraft 2, StarCraft 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, campaigns. I think that's totally cool. But you have to give a campaign mode to get invested, and also for people that don't necessarily want to play online and get owned by people online, to actually just practice it out.
It makes you care about the game, right? So I mean, you care about the game, you care about the characters, and once you get invested, like you said, once you get invested in it, then you go online because you actually care about building up your weapons or whatever. I doubt that I would actually pick up Overwatch, just mainly because. I don't know. I've been totally ignoring shooters for the last couple of years. After so many Call of Duties that were exactly the same with terrible storylines, I'm so sick of them.
I miss the terrible story. I'm actually after coming off of Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, which had no story mode, coming off of Overwatch, which I don't know of any story mode that's on it. I think that you definitely need story mode, and I miss the convoluted Michael Bay storylines that you got in like the College of the series, man.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw this, Vince, but more and more game developers are actually selling their games like piecemeal. So you like if you want campaign mode, you spend like $15. And if you want, multiplayer, you'd spend like another $50 or whatever because that's where mostly they're investing or whatever. Like all the new Tom Clancy stuff is going to be that way.
Oh, like what is it? It's all about breaching.
Rainbow Six. I don't know what the latest one is, but they came out with this last week or whatever. They came out with they like split it up. So if you want the campaign mode, is like $15. Yeah, and the rest of it's like like $50 or whatever if you want the whole thing.
Because I was interested in it for a bit because I liked some of the Splinter Cell games that they did, and I know the squad-based stuff is significant, but from what I understood, the version that they had, I don't remember what that game is. It's like a tactical one, right? But the interesting thing was that you blew through walls and stuff to just like blow people out. I thought that was solely no campaign. I thought there wasn't, and now you're telling me that they have a campaign mode for it?
All right, so I haven't played it. This is what I read online. So it has to be. I found it on the internet. It has to be true, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I read. I can't remember where it doesn't matter. I don't know. It could be completely wrong. I think I saw it on Flipboard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyways, my pick of the week is Heroes of the Storm. As you know, actually, it's funny we're both picking Blizzard stuff. Heroes of the Storm is a MOBA. It's free to play. It's like Overwatch is very much cartoony. But it's also a little bit more character driven than your typical MOBA. Like you like with Dota and League of Legends and a couple of the other ones. Yeah, you have characters and yeah, they all have specific traits. But kind of like with Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm also has, like each one has its own little story, and you're much more reliant on your character than you are on like the minions that they send you or whatever. Yeah. And the inventory is not as big or as interesting, in my opinion, but it's getting bigger all the time. But it's also if you're into the MOBA scene, it's much more. I don't know. It was easier for me to get into, just because it was kind of. It starts off a lot slower than like Dota does. Like with Dota, you get 2 tutorials or whatever before you start playing online against actual people. And that's fine. But if you've never seen a MOBA before, you're like, what the hell is going on? The map's the same all the time, and the checkpoints and the battlements are all in the exact same place every time, and you're doing the exact same thing every single time. But it's still like, because all right. So I don't know if for those out there that never played MOBA, for the most part, they're all exactly, they're all based on the same kind of map. And it's most of them are team. So if you have to work on a team, which means you have to go with your teammate into exactly the right spot. And if you don't do that, you're going to piss off those other people that you're working with, especially if because once you get online and you start, if you do something wrong, then you're just going to piss people off, and they're going to start shouting at you and calling you racist names and motherfucker, and that's not fun. They're going to do that anyways. You might as well just do whatever you want. Anyways, Heroes of the Storm is mine. It's free to play. It's a huge game though. Size wise to download.
How big?
It's like 2 gigabytes.
Dude.
No. Like for a no. But the thing is, this is meant to be played on like you can play it on like a big deep PC like I did, but I also wanted to download like on my laptop. You know what I mean? And for like a laptop where you have only like an 80 gigabyte SSD in it, which is, I don't know, if you're starting off on a laptop, I guess 2 gigabyte or 2, it's like 2.5 or something like that. It's pretty big. Anyways, that's my pick of the week. Ricky didn't show up. I haven't heard from him. So that is it for us this week. Next week we're gonna do 2 things, Vince. We're gonna watch a terrible movie, and then we're gonna list the 3 most terrible movies we've ever seen. So we're going to watch the movie 300, which is a terrible movie. It is an atrocious movie. I'm going to make everybody watch and I'm going to enjoy all of our suffering, because it is a very, very bad movie. That I've seen way too many times. I don't know if it's the
problem is I'm not even sure if you would have watched some of the crappy movies that I would tell you, because like
it doesn't matter. You probably haven't seen half the terrible movies that I'm going to say, because
I'm aware of them, wouldn't I?
I don't know. Have you ever seen the Hansel and Gretel movie?
Was that the one with the Hawkeye guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I know of it though, right?
Don't watch it. You'll want to claw your eyes out and then try to dig your brains through the sockets and just die, because it is the worst movie in the history of movies. Anyways, so that's a preview of my top #1 spot, because it's god awful. I can't even tell you. It's just really bad. They're the witch hunters. That's what they are. They're witch hunters, and yeah, it's not very good. Anyways, that's what we're doing next week. 300 and the Terrible Movie Awards. Hopefully Ricky shows up so he can show us, like, has Ricky ever hated a movie before?
Let me think. Wow, that's actually
this might be really difficult for him, now that I think about it, because he likes all the movies.
Well, he doesn't like them all. He just but he does give positive things about them.
He's such a positive fellow. I mean, he's not an asshole like me. He's not a Vince. He's not Professor Snape. Yeah.
No, there must have been something he doesn't like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he likes the Fast and the Furious movies, and so. Anyways, that's coming up next week. If you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at MTWB. Vince is VWHUI. The Threecast is at the Threecast. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Threecast. We are 2 minutes past, right on time. Awesome. We'll see you next week, people.
Take care.